Hi my beautiful people, how are you doing today? Hope you guys are doing okay. Your girl here is doing fantastic. I'm so happy that you've come back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber or you're a returning viewer, if it is your first time here on this channel, you're very much welcome. We love you here. We love new people. We love to support new people. Feel at home, join the family. Let us discuss matters, different stuff going around us, how to move to Australia, funny things, how to raise children. We've not talked so much about that, but of course we'll talk about that at some point, and many other things, travel, cooking. We've got so much to talk about in this channel. So thank you so much. As I've said again, and I'll say again, thank you for coming. And if you've not subscribed, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let's dive into the video. So today we are going to talk about how to buy your new car, how to get your first car. Let me not say a new car, let me say how to get your first car. Things to consider when you're getting your first car, especially in Australia. I'm talking about Australia because I know much about Australia. I didn't have a car when I was in Kenya, so I don't know anything to do with cars in Kenya, but at least I know something about cars in Australia. Now, everything I'm going to share is based on my experience, based on my research. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't work with car dealership. I don't know so much about them, but this is purely my experience. That's a disclaimer. Please don't come to me with asking for financial advice. I won't be able to share that. Okay, now let's dive into the video. Now, things to consider when you are basically, I'll talk about more of people migrating here. So one thing you need to know is that you can drive with your international driver's license in Australia, specifically Adelaide. Let me talk about Adelaide, South Australia, because that's where I've been since I came to Australia. I don't know if Melbourne, Victoria, Perth, other states, if they have different if there's any, but I haven't had people say you can't use your international license. So that's one thing, that's a good thing. So that means you need to get your license before you come here. Make sure you have your license, your driver's license. That was very important thing when I was coming here. My friends kept telling me, make sure you've got your driver's license. And I've always told people, when people ask me what can I bring, and I'm like, make sure you have your driver's license, because a car here, it's a basic need, to be honest, because for you to move from one point to another, the car, it really comes in handy. If you have to use the public transport and you've got so much to do, school, maybe you're going to school, you're going to work, and you have to connect things around, that would be very, very difficult for you. So when you have a car, your life becomes a little bit easier. Okay, now I've written few things that you have to consider before buying your car, or when you're considering getting your first car. Number one, I've said, think about your budget. What is the budget? What's the budget? Do you have set amount of money that you want to use when buying your car? So if you've got that in place, then it will be easy for you to go around getting cars depending with your budget. But again, in the few years since COVID came, the prices of the cars have become very expensive. When I came to Australia 4 years ago, the cars were very cheap, especially the second-hand cars. But since COVID, things have really changed. So of course, it's not easy to get very, very cheap cars, and most cars will range from around $2,000 Australian dollars since COVID and above. When I came, we could get cars around $1,000, $500, but right now you can't find that anywhere. Okay, then So after you've considered your budget, that's when now you will decide what kind of a car you want. Okay, you might need also to think, what kind of a car do you want? We all have desires. We want certain cars, and of course that will be dictated by your budget, because if you go maybe if your budget does not fit a certain type of car, then that means you'll have to get something else that you did not want. But then for me, what I think and what I usually think and how I reason is, for my first car, if I'm very new in Australia, I don't need, as long as the car is going okay, as long as the car is in the right, mechanically it is okay, as long as the car is really helping me with my needs, like I can move from one place to another, the AC is working, the air conditioner is working, because it really gets hot here and you don't want to be roasting yourself in the car. As long as the air conditioner is working well and the car is fuel efficient, there's things to consider. As long as that car is okay, for me, I don't really care what kind of a car I get. But then for you, you might want a certain type of car. And you know what? In my language, we say the heart is what it wants. So if you want a BMW, go for it. Okay, let's continue. Still on that point of what car you want, you can get a car on a loan car, but this will depend on your visas. Now, that's another point I would say, the type of visa you have. In Australia, from my experience, if you are on a student visa and you want to buy a car on loan or using credit, financing the loan, you cannot do that. From my experience, the car dealerships I went to when I was a student, they would not accept me to take a car on loan because I'm on a student visa. But then if you have the other kind of visas, they will accept, like the permanent resident. If you have the skilled visas, mostly if you're a citizen, definitely they will of course accept you to finance the car. Okay, the other thing, what kind of a car you want is, we'll talk about, do you want a manual car? Do you want a car, an automatic car? Do you want a diesel car, a petrol car? Do you want an electric car? All these you'll put into consideration, especially if you have money. That is when you go so much into details. But then if you're a student you don't go so much into considerations of all these. Is it electric? As long as the car is efficient, is fuel efficient, and it gets you to where you're going, that's what many students do. But then if you have money, of course, you can go for Tesla, BMW, and all those beautiful and posh cars. Now, the other thing is to put into consideration is the maintenance of the car. So different cars have different maintenance, definitely, because let's give an example of BMW. I hear from people owning BMWs, they say, and Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Mercedes-Benz, they say that for them to service their car, they have to go to the BMW or the Mercedes-Benz companies to service their cars. They can't take to any mechanic. My car, I go to one mechanic who is not my car is Hyundai. The mechanic I take my car to, he is not even like a specialist on Hyundai. He does all the cars. But then if you have a BMW and Mercedes-Benz, you have to take to those exact companies, and definitely that will cost more. Other than if I get my Hyundai to my mechanic for servicing, it's pretty cheap. It's not cheap, but it's reasonable price for me. So that's what I'm saying. before you get a car, consider the costs after. Buying the car is not a problem, but consider the cost after. How is maintenance going to affect you? How is insurance? So the next thing we're going to talk about is insurance, car insurance. So if you have a Porsche car, if you have a good car, high-end car, if anything like that exists, if, for example, I'll give examples. If you have a BMW, let's say you bought a very good X6 BMW, this SUV X6 BMW, and you are thinking of putting insurance, of course, on your car. The insurance costs will definitely go higher because of the value of your car. And then they ask a few questions like, where are you going to park your car? Are you going to put it in a shade? Are you going to put it on the streets? So all these factors will actually dictate how much insurance you'll be paying monthly. So for example, if you park your car on the streets, that's risky. So the risk goes up, and therefore the price of the insurance goes high. I hope that makes sense. If you park your car in your shed, like for example your garage, that means the risk of damaging the car goes low, and therefore the insurance will be a little bit low. Okay, there's not too much difference, but there's slight difference, which will make of course it will make sense. If you have less, maybe $5 in insurance, that goes a long way. If you calculate every monthly, that goes a long way. So again, something else with insurance, if you're younger, there's a certain age, I think below 25, the more you're younger, the more your car insurance price goes higher. This is because their logic is the more you're younger, the more careless you are. So if you're younger, you pay more. If you're older, you pay less. The other thing that they consider is how long have you been driving? How much experience do you have with driving? If you have let's say you have 5 years and below driving experience, your insurance premium goes high. And if you've been driving for more than 5 years and above, your car insurance goes low, because they assume you have good experience with driving. I hope that makes sense. So there's lots of things to consider. So when you're talking to the insurance people, just make sure you're giving them all these details, because they're going to help you. At the end of the day, if you get yourself into an accident, you're going to benefit definitely, but then at the same time there's cost that comes with that, security, or you insuring your car. Okay, the other thing is consider if you want a new or old car. That I talked about. I've said if you get a new car, definitely new cars cost more. If you get a second-hand car or used car, that one is going to cost you less. So depending with your budget, that one is going to dictate the kind of car you're going to get, whether it's a new car or a used car. I hope that makes sense. All right, the other thing is consider the cost of fueling. So there are these cars like the hybrid cars, they are fuel efficient, they use a little bit of fuel. Check on the cylinders of the car. Oh, that's a big one. The bigger the car cylinder, or the engine cylinder, or the petrol cylinder, I think is the engine cylinder, the most expensive it is to fuel. Now, this is something I came to know when I was buying cars. So when I was buying my first car, someone helped me get my first car, of course, because I didn't know anything about cars. So he used to say, when we went to these people selling cars, he would be like, what cylinder size, what's car cylinder, okay, what's the cylinder size of this car? And he would ask that, and if someone said this is a 6-cylinder, he'll be like, no, we are not getting that. And then I was like, this car looks great, what's wrong with the cylinder? What's this cylinder? So he told me the higher or the bigger the engine cylinder, the more fuel the car consumes. So you want to go for a low cylinder car, like the engine cylinder, I'm not so good with explaining this cylinder thing. If you know better, on the comment section, please help your girl here. But I know the bigger the cylinder, the more fuel your car consumes. The less the cylinder, the less the car consumes fuel. I hope that makes sense. So that's a big thing to consider when you're getting your first car. If you've got money, of course, you can go for a big cylinder, because that's a big that's a strong and a heavy engine. It can go miles away. You don't feel like the car is straining or struggling, and you can feel I've tested a car with a high cylinder engine and a car with a low cylinder. It feels a little bit different, but then they all take you to where you're going anyway. So if maybe you're going far, if you're driving far, they say it is better to have a big cylinder car. It will be efficient on long distance, but if you're going for short distances, it is efficient, it is more affordable and more appropriate to use a car with low cylinder, or get a hybrid, or much better, get an electric car. Okay, the other thing we're going to talk about is where can you buy your first car. Let's say, for example, you're very new in Australia, you've just moved here, you don't know where to start, and you don't know maybe anyone. So I'm here to help you. If you're very new in Australia, you're planning to move here, maybe you have money and you want to buy your car, these are the places that you can get your car. Number one, there is an application called Gumtree. Is an online application, an app. You can get cars. People sell their cars, like they post cars there. They post secondhand, new cars. Again, there's Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is known by everywhere. I know everyone knows about this. So Facebook Marketplace is where so many people buy cars there. I would say, if before you buy this car, you have to go there to the owner of the car, test drive the car. Maybe if you can, go with a mechanic, let them check the car, because sometimes people will sell you cars and then you drive them for a few days and then it dies. And then at this point, mostly when you buy cars on Facebook, you don't get paperwork or warranty or anything, that kind of a thing. So you will end up losing your money, because again, where's the proof that you sold this person a car? There's no paperwork most of the time. So it is important that you check the car first, very thoroughly, properly, with a mechanic, with someone who knows cars properly, so that you don't end up losing your money. Because on Facebook, there are so many cons. Very many people are there to con you, but again, there are good, legit people on Facebook. I've bought my brother's car on Facebook, and I trust Facebook. I trust some people. You don't know who is who, but then you just try. The other thing you can do, where else you can get cars, is on car dealerships. There are so many dealerships of car dealerships in Australia, especially in Adelaide. There's Toyota, Hyundai, Mazda, name them, Volkswagen. There's all these car dealerships. You can get second-hand cars from the dealerships. You can get new cars from the dealerships. You just go there and negotiate, talk to them, and see what kind of a car you can afford. And yeah, of course, from there you can decide whether and then it's important you shop around in different dealerships, get the best price for the car you want. At least different dealerships have different prices, especially for second-hand cars. So do your due diligence before getting yourself a car. From there, guys, I will stop this video here. I hope this video is going to help someone. I hope someone is going to take something before they buy their first car. I must have left so many stuff outside, but then for me, I thought these are quite important. If you think of any other thing that could help someone get a new car, you can add that on the comment section. Let me know what you think about this video. Give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you've not. Share this video with people who are planning to move to Australia soon. Let them know what to consider and what to look before they get their first cars. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, for viewing my videos, for supporting me, and until next time, bye.